She runs before the scream can leave her throat. The night is split open by heat and shadow, and the mountain pass burns like it remembers every death it has ever swallowed. Stone is blackened. Snow hisses as it melts, turning to steam the moment it touches the ground. The air tastes like ash and fear. She doesn't stop. She can't. Her bare feet slap against scorched rock, skin tearing, pain flashing white up her legs. Blood runs warm down her ankle, slick and fast, but she barely feels it. Her dress hangs off her like a torn memory, shredded by thorns and fire. Every breath she takes burns her lungs. Every heartbeat is too loud, like it's trying to betray her hiding place. She hears it then. Wings. Not close enough to see. Not far enough to escape. The sound rolls through the mountains, deep and heavy, like thunder that knows her name. The ground trembles with it. Stones shift. Shadows stretch longer than they should. She doesn't look up. She knows better. Her thoughts are a mess, crashing into each other, sharp and cruel. They lied to me. The words hit harder than the rocks cutting her feet. She sees their faces even as she runs. Her mother's hands shaking. Her father's silence. The way no one met her eyes when the decision was made. They chose her. Her sister's name tastes bitter in her mouth. Sweet and bitter at the same time. She loved her. She still does. That's the part that hurts the most. Love doesn't stop the knife. It just makes the wound deeper. A sharp pain explodes in her chest, not from exhaustion, but from something else. Something hot. Something wrong. Heat coils under her skin, spreading too fast, too wild. She gasps, stumbling as silver embers flicker along her arms, glowing beneath her skin like veins of living fire. She tries to press them down, to hide them, but they don't listen. They never have. Her body betrays her just like they did. The wind howls through the pass, carrying the smell of smoke and something ancient. Her vision blurs. Tears streak her face, freezing the moment they fall. She pushes forward anyway, teeth clenched, heart breaking with every step. She was never supposed to be here. She was never supposed to survive this long. The mountain narrows ahead, walls of stone closing in like a trap. Her lungs scream. Her legs shake. One wrong step sends her crashing to her knees. Pain flares bright and sharp as her palms hit the ground. She tries to get up. Her body refuses. Above her, the wings beat once. The sound is massive. Final. She curls inward, fingers digging into the ash-covered stone, as if the mountain itself might hide her. Heat washes over her back, not burning, not yet, but close enough that her skin prickles in warning. Shadows move around her, stretching and twisting, circling like predators who know their prey is done running. Her heartbeat slows, not because she's calm, but because fear has hollowed her out. This is how it ends, she thinks. Not as a monster. Not as a queen. Just a girl no one wanted badly enough to save. The silver heat in her chest flares again, stronger this time. It hurts. Gods, it hurts. Like something inside her is waking up and tearing its way out. She bites down on her lip to keep from crying out. Blood fills her mouth, copper and salt. She doesn't want this power. She never asked for it. She just wanted to belong. The shadows tighten. The air grows heavy, thick with pressure and heat. The mountain seems to hold its breath. Somewhere above, something ancient watches her, curious rather than cruel. And in that moment, broken and shaking on scorched stone, with blood on her skin and betrayal in her bones, destiny finally finds her. If you crave stories where betrayal ignites destiny, where a rejected girl rises into something feared and desired, subscribe now to Moonbound Werewolf Romance Stories. You don't want to miss what comes next. The wind dies. The wings slow. And though she doesn't know it yet, the world is about to change because she refused to die quietly. The smoke parts like it knows him. A massive figure steps forward, not rushing, not hiding. The firelight bends around his shape, revealing broad shoulders, a tall, unhurried frame that fills the narrow pass without effort. He looks carved from the night itself. Golden eyes cut through the ash and lock onto her, sharp and knowing. For a second, the world seems to tilt. She forgets how to breathe. Up close, she sees it. The faint shimmer beneath his skin, dark scales catching the light when he moves, ancient and alive. Not armor. Not illusion. A truth he doesn't bother hiding. He says her name. Not loudly. Not gently. Just once, spoken with the weight of certainty, like he has always known it. The sound freezes her in place. Terror and something dangerously close to awe collide in her chest. Her fingers curl into the ground, silver heat flickering along her arms in answer to him. This is not rescue. This is judgment walking toward her. This is the Dragon Emperor. The one the elders whispered about. The one her parents prayed would never look too closely at their lands. He has ruled since before her pack learned how to howl at the moon. His presence presses against her senses, heavy and impossible to ignore, like standing too close to a storm and realizing it's watching you back. She tries to push herself upright. Her body shakes. Pain screams from her ankle. He notices. Of course he does. His gaze drops to her injuries, sharp and assessing. Blood on her skin. Torn flesh. The way she favors one leg. He takes it all in without touching her, without offering comfort. It's worse somehow. Like he's deciding something. They told me you would break, he says quietly. The words land hard. Not cruel. Not kind. Just honest. Something ugly and defiant claws its way up her throat. She snarls, a broken, feral sound she doesn't recognize as her own. Her chin lifts despite the fear burning through her veins. She refuses to look away. I didn't, she forces out, voice shaking. I ran. One corner of his mouth twitches. Not a smile. Something darker. Something like approval. Before she can say more, a low growl echoes from the rocks behind her. Then another. Shadows detach themselves from the mountain walls. Wolves. Large. Armored in leather and iron. Her pack's hunters. She knows their scents even now. She knows which one taught her to track. Which one once called her little sister. Her chest tightens. This is it. She waits for him to step aside. He doesn't. He moves with a single, fluid motion, placing himself between her and the approaching wolves. He doesn't draw a weapon. He doesn't raise his voice. He lifts one hand. Fire responds. Not wild. Not destructive. It curls around him like a living thing, a shield of heat and light that hums with restrained power. The wolves skid to a halt, snarls dying in their throats. The flames don't touch them, but they don't need to. The message is clear. You do not pass. She stares at his back, heart pounding, confusion crashing into fear. He didn't have to do this. He could have let them take her. That was the agreement. That was the price. The wolves hesitate. One of them shifts, half human, half beast, eyes wide with something close to panic. No one challenges the Dragon Emperor and lives. He doesn't look at them when he speaks. His attention stays on her, like the rest of the world is just noise. Go, he says to the hunters, voice calm and absolute. They don't argue. They retreat into the smoke, leaving silence behind them, thick and ringing. The fire fades at his gesture. The night rushes back in, cold and sharp. He turns to face her again. Up close, his presence is overwhelming. Heat radiates from him, but it doesn't burn. It steadies. She should be screaming, begging, running. Instead, she stays. What happens now, she asks, hating how small her voice sounds. He studies her face, her eyes, the silver embers that refuse to dim beneath her skin. There is something conflicted in his gaze. Not doubt. Memory. I do not offer safety, he says. Her heart sinks anyway. I offer truth. The words settle into her chest, heavy and dangerous. She doesn't know why, but part of her believes him. And that terrifies her more than the fire, more than the wolves, more than the night closing in around them. Because truth is what broke her in the first place. And standing there in the scorched mountain pass, bleeding and shaking under his gaze, she realizes she has just stepped into something far worse than death. She has been seen. She has been seen. The thought echoes in her head, louder than the wind scraping across the mountain walls. No one has ever looked at her the way he just did. Not with fear. Not with disgust. But with recognition. It unsettles her more than the fire ever could. The silence stretches, and in that quiet, the past creeps in. It always does. Her sister's face flashes before her eyes. Pale. Trembling. Hands clenched tight in the fabric of her dress, as the elders spoke. She remembers the way her sister tried to be brave, chin lifted, even as tears slipped down her cheeks. She remembers wanting to step forward, wanting to say she would take her place, even before the words were spoken. The chanting had started low, rhythmic, filling the hall like a pulse. Old words. Heavy words. Words meant to bind and condemn. The elders' voices led over one another, echoing off stone walls carved long before she was born. Her parents stood at the center of it all. Her mother's shoulders shook, but she never turned around. Her father stared straight ahead, jaw tight, eyes fixed on nothing. Not once did either of them look at her. Not when the prophecy was recited. Not when the decision was made. She remembers the moment she understood. She was born under a blood moon. The elders never let her forget that. They pointed to the sky the night she first cried, said the red light was an omen. As she grew, the silver fire veins appeared beneath her skin, glowing faintly when her emotions ran too high. Proof, they said. Proof that she was wrong. Cursed. They whispered it when they thought she couldn't hear. They said she would bring ruin to the pack. That her power was not a gift but a warning. Children were pulled away from her. Training sessions ended when she arrived. She learned early how to make herself small. Then the Dragon Emperor demanded tribute. One life, offered to secure peace. The elders didn't hesitate. They chose her. She remembers the ropes biting into her wrists. The cold stone beneath her knees. She remembers begging. Not screaming. Begging. Promising to leave. Promising to disappear. Promising anything if they would just look at her. No one spoke. Silence is the cruelest memory of all. Back in the mountain pass, her chest tightens like it did that day. She waits for the Emperor's laughter. For his contempt. For him to confirm what she has always believed about herself. That she is disposable. That she was never meant to survive. He doesn't laugh. He watches her, eyes narrowing slightly, like he's piecing together a story he already knows the ending to. When he finally speaks, his voice is low, steady, and devastating in its certainty. They sent me a queen, he says. They just didn't know it. The words hit her harder than any blow. She shakes her head, a sharp, broken movement. You're wrong, she whispers. I was the sacrifice. His gaze sharpens, something fierce flashing behind the gold. A sacrifice is chosen because it has value, he says. They feared you. That is not the same thing. Her breath stutters. No one has ever framed it that way. Fear was always painted as righteousness. As protection. As duty. Hearing it named for what it is cracks something open inside her. I never wanted power, she says, the truth spilling out before she can stop it. I just wanted them to stop looking at me like I was already dead. For a moment, the Emperor says nothing. He steps closer, close enough that she can feel the heat rolling off him, close enough that running would be pointless. He doesn't touch her. He doesn't need to. Power doesn't ask permission, he says quietly. And it doesn't belong to those who try to bury it. Her silver veins pulse in response, brighter now, as if they recognize the truth in his words. Fear coils in her stomach, but beneath it, something else stirs. Anger. Grief. A fragile, dangerous spark of hope. She has spent her whole life believing she was the problem. Standing before him, bleeding and bare and finally seen, she begins to wonder if the world was wrong instead. And that thought terrifies her more than any prophecy ever could. The mountain opens for him. What once looked like solid stone splits at his approach, revealing a narrow path lit from below by a slow, breathing glow. Heat rises in gentle waves, not violent, not consuming. He leads her without touching her, yet she feels guided all the same, like the earth itself is urging her forward. They enter an ancient volcanic shrine. The air inside is thick with memory. The walls curve high above them, etched with symbols worn smooth by time. Dragons intertwined with wolves. Fire and moon carved side by side. The markings pulse faintly as she steps closer, as if recognizing her. The ground hums beneath her feet, a deep vibration that settles into her bones. She falters. The silver veins under her skin flare, bright and alive. Panic flutters in her chest. She waits for the heat to burn her, for pain to tear through her like it always has. It doesn't. The fire bends away from her. Flames bow, lowering themselves, parting as she moves through them. Warmth brushes her skin like reverent hands. Her breath catches. She lifts her palms, staring as light dances across her fingers without harm. I don't understand, she whispers. The Emperor watches her with something close to awe, though his face remains controlled. You were never meant to, he says. Not until now. The shrine responds to her presence, the hum deepening, the symbols along the walls glowing brighter. The air thickens, heavy with power. Her vision blurs, and suddenly she is no longer standing in the chamber. Visions strike her without warning. She sees herself crowned in living flame, standing unbroken while the world kneels. She sees a dragon, vast and ancient, lowering its head before her, not in defeat, but in loyalty. Fire and silver light twist together, balanced, whole. Her knees buckle. The images are too much. Too heavy. Words echo through the chamber, not spoken, but felt. Child of the flame. Bride of balance. She gasps, clutching at her chest, heart racing. No, she breathes. That's not me. The visions fade, leaving her shaking in the glow of the shrine. She looks at the Emperor, searching his face for cruelty, for manipulation. He finds none. There is a prophecy older than my throne, he says. One born of wolf blood and dragon fire. One meant to end the age of sacrifice. To break the cycle that feeds on fear and blood. Her laugh tears out of her, sharp and bitter. It echoes off the stone, hollow and broken. You're wrong, she says. I was chosen because I was disposable. Because no one would fight for me. She turns away, wrapping her arms around herself, as if she can hold herself together. I am not some myth. I'm what they threw away. He steps closer, close enough now that she can feel his presence at her back, steady and unyielding. Then why does the world awaken for you? He asks quietly. She has no answer. The shrine hums louder, as if waiting. For the first time in her life, the possibility settles into her bones, heavy and terrifying. That she was not spared by chance. That her survival was not a mistake. That maybe, just maybe, she was never meant to be a sacrifice at all. And the thought frightens her more than the fire ever could. The shrine shudders. At first it feels like another breath of the mountain, a deep vibration rolling through the stone. Then the hum turns sharp. Hostile. The flames lining the walls flicker, bending inward as if bracing for impact. She feels it before she hears it. Paws striking stone. Armor scraping rock. The low growl of wolves who do not come in peace. The entrance explodes inward. Figures pour into the shrine, silhouettes framed by moonlight and smoke. Wolves in human skin, weapons drawn, eyes burning with fear and fury. Her heart drops as familiar scents slam into her senses. Home. Pack. The ones who raised her. The ones who condemned her. At their head stands her former alpha. Broad. Scarred. Crowned in iron authority. His gaze locks onto her like a blade finding its mark. There is no hesitation in his eyes. No regret. Enough, he snarls, voice echoing off the stone. This ends now. Accusations come fast, overlapping, sharp as thrown knives. She's an abomination. She corrupted the shrine. She'll doom us all. Each word hits her chest, reopening wounds that never healed. Shame crawls up her spine, hot and choking. She wants to disappear. She wants to scream. Instead, she stands frozen as their fear fills the sacred space. The Alpha steps forward, pointing at her without looking away. Release her, he demands, his gaze flicking to the Emperor. She does not belong to you. The shrine's fire darkens. The Emperor does not move. She belongs to no one, he says calmly. That only fuels them. You are not one of us, the Alpha snaps. This is wolf business. Give her back, or you will have war. The words hang heavy in the air. She hears the rest even though no one speaks it aloud. Choose your empire or this girl. Her chest tightens. Her breath stutters. They aren't just threatening him. They are offering him a way out. A clean choice. Power over complication. Stability over her. She looks at the Emperor, searching his face for certainty, for defense. She finds silence. It's not cruel. It's measured. But it feels like falling. The old ache spreads through her, familiar and suffocating. The knowledge that she is once again the problem. The cost. The thing that must be removed so the world can keep spinning. Fire trembles around her, responding to the storm inside her chest. Silver veins flare bright beneath her skin, pulsing with every ragged breath. The wolves recoil slightly, fear flickering across their faces. She swallows hard. Before anyone can speak again, she steps forward. The movement surprises them. It surprises her too. "I'll go," she says. The words come out steady, even though something inside her cracks. She lifts her chin, forcing herself to meet the alpha's gaze. "You don't have to threaten him. You don't have to burn this place down. I'll leave." "No," the Emperor says sharply, finally turning to her. But it's too late. The shrine reacts to her decision, flames flaring high, stone groaning like it's in pain. The ground trembles beneath her feet, protesting her choice. She doesn't look back. If she does, she might stay. Shame burns hotter than the fire as she walks past the wolves, past the alpha who once taught her how to stand tall. Their eyes follow her, some filled with triumph, others with unease. She feels the Emperor's presence surge behind her, power rising, restrained but dangerous. She knows he could stop her. He could tear this place apart, and no one would stand in his way. She doesn't give him the chance. She breaks into a run, leaving the shrine, the firelight, and the fragile hope she never meant to feel. Cold night air slams into her lungs as she crosses the threshold, the mountain swallowing her once more. Her heart pounds, not just with fear, but with something sharper. Resolve. As she disappears into the dark, a vow forms in the deepest part of her, silent and unbreakable. "I will never be weak again. Not for them. Not for him. Not ever." Dawn finds her where the mountain thins into broken stone and frostbitten scrub. She is still standing when the light creeps over the horizon, even though her body begs her to fall. Her ankle is swollen now, blood crusted dark against her skin. One arm is wrapped tight around her ribs, every breath shallow and sharp. She leans on a jagged rock, eyes fixed forward, refusing to sit, refusing to surrender to the shaking in her legs. She doesn't hear him arrive. She feels him. Warmth spreads behind her, subtle but unmistakable, cutting through the cold like a held breath finally released. She turns too fast, pain flashing white, and nearly loses her balance. He catches her. Not roughly. Not possessively. Just enough to steady her. His hand is solid at her elbow, heat seeping through torn fabric and skin. She stiffens, every instinct screaming at her to pull away. "I said I'd leave," she mutters. "I said I'd let you," he answers. She looks up at him then, really looks. The fire of the night before is quieter now, banked low behind his eyes. He looks tired. Older than he did in the shrine. Like someone carrying too many centuries alone. "You shouldn't be here," she says. "And yet," he replies, easing her down onto a flat stone, "here I am." He kneels in front of her without ceremony. His hands move with deliberate care, tearing a strip of cloth from his own sleeve. When he touches her ankle, she flinches, breath hitching. He pauses instantly. "Tell me if it hurts," he says. "It all hurts." A faint huff of something like a smile touches his mouth. He cleans the wound anyway, slow and precise, like he's anchoring himself to the task. The heat of his fingers dulls the sting. Her shoulders ease despite herself. "I don't understand why you came after me," she says quietly. He doesn't look up. "Because you left believing you were alone." The words settle between them, heavy and dangerous. He moves to her ribs, checking carefully, never pushing too hard. When he's done, he sits back on his heels, gaze lifting to meet hers. "They feared me too," he says. She blinks. She hadn't asked. "My kin," he continues, voice low, even. They called me monster before they called me emperor. Tried to chain me. Tried to use me. When that failed, they betrayed me. There is no bitterness in his tone. Just truth, laid bare. They taught me early, he adds, that power makes people honest. Something in her chest tightens. I never wanted it, she whispers. The confession slips out before she can stop it. Any of it. The fire. The fear. I just wanted someone to choose me. Not because they had to. Because they wanted to. The mountain is quiet around them. Wind moves softly through stone and frost. He studies her face like the answer matters. Moonlight lingers faintly in his eyes, gold softened to something almost gentle. He reaches out, hesitates, then lets his knuckles brush the back of her hand. The contact is brief. It feels like everything. Her breath catches. His hand stills. Neither of them pulls away. The air tightens, charged and fragile. She is suddenly aware of how close he is. Of the heat of his body. Of the steady calm of his breathing against her chaos. He leans in without meaning to. Or maybe with more meaning than either of them is ready to name. Her lips part. For one suspended moment, the world holds still. Then he stops. Not because he doesn't want to. She can see that clearly. But because he chooses restraint over hunger. He lifts his forehead to rest lightly against hers instead. A touch that somehow feels more intimate than a kiss. I see you, he murmurs. All of you. Her eyes burn. For the first time, the words don't sound like a promise meant to trap her. They sound like truth. She almost believes him. And that terrifies her more than fire, more than prophecy, more than the world that keeps trying to break her. Because believing him means she might finally have something to lose. The moment shatters when a familiar scent cuts through the cold. She stiffens before she turns. Her sister steps into the clearing, breathless, eyes red, hair loose like she ran without thinking. For a heartbeat, hope flares where it shouldn't. Stupid. Dangerous. Human. Her chest tightens as memories crash in, softer ones, warmer ones. Laughter. Shared blankets. Secrets whispered in the dark. I've been looking for you, her sister says, voice breaking. Tears spill fast, unchecked. I'm so sorry. I never wanted this. I swear. Her feet move on their own. One step closer. Then another. Don't, the Emperor warns quietly. She doesn't hear him. Her sister reaches for her hands, gripping them tight, shaking. They told me you'd understand. That you were strong enough. That this was the only way to save everyone. The words sink slow. Heavy. Wrong. Save everyone, she whispers. Her sister sobs harder. The council knew. Long before the Dragon Emperor ever demanded tribute. They've been watching you since the silver fire appeared. They said if you were offered willingly, the prophecy would stay asleep. The ground seems to tilt. Off to the side, shadows move. Figures emerge from behind stone and frost. Elders. Council members. Wolves she recognizes by posture alone. They circle quietly, efficiently, like this was always how it would end. The truth spills all at once. The sacrifice was never about peace. It was about control. The eldest steps forward, voice calm, practiced. The prophecy speaks of ruin, he says. Of a flame that devours balance. We chose to bind it before it could awaken. Her lungs forget how to work. You said I would save us, she whispers, staring at her sister. Her sister looks away. Shame slams into her chest so hard it steals her breath. She takes a step back, then another, until her shoulders hit stone. Cold bites through her skin. The world closes in. The council raises their voices together, chanting words she knows too well. Binding words. Old words. Ropes of magic lash out, wrapping around her arms, her legs, her throat. She gasps as power drains from her veins, silver light sputtering under her skin. Not again. Her wrists are forced together. Iron cuffs snap shut, etched with runes that burn on contact. She screams this time, the sound raw and torn from her chest. She looks to the Emperor. He is still. Too still. Power coils around him, dangerous and restrained, but he does not move. His jaw tightens. His eyes flick from her to the council. Calculation flashes across his face. Just for a heartbeat. That heartbeat destroys her. Something inside her collapses, silent and final. The fragile hope she never meant to grow shatters into ash. She laughs, a broken sound that doesn't belong to her anymore. So this is it, she breathes. This is where you decide. The chains tighten. The council presses closer, chanting louder. The shrine's distant fire trembles in answer. The Emperor takes a step forward. Then stops. That hesitation is all it takes. Her power erupts. Silver fire explodes from her chest, screaming free, tearing through the bindings like they were made of paper. Chains melt and drip to the ground in molten streaks. The earth cracks beneath her feet, light blazing through stone. She screams, not in pain, but in fury. Flames roar outward, consuming the ground, forcing everyone back. Wolves scatter, fear finally overpowering obedience. The council stumbles, shields raised, faces pale with horror. The silver fire does not burn her. It answers her. Her eyes glow bright, tears evaporating before they can fall. She stands in the center of destruction, shaking, breathing hard, heartbreaking and mending all at once. She looks at her sister one last time. There are no words left. Then she turns and runs. Or maybe she shifts. The line blurs as power surges, bones aching, fire and wolf and something older tearing through her veins. The mountain echoes with the sound of her escape, a promise and a warning wrapped into one. She does not look back. Because whatever she was, whatever they tried to make her, is gone. And what rises in her place will never kneel again. The ritual collapses with a sound like the world breaking its own spine. Chants shatter mid-word. Symbols carved into stone split and bleed light. The ground heaves as if trying to throw the lie of obedience off its back. Above the shrine, the sky darkens, not with night, but with something heavier. Something ancient and angry. Darkness pours downward in spirals, swallowing moonlight, swallowing certainty. The council screams. Power they thought they controlled turns on them, wild and furious. Shadows tear free from the runes meant to bind her. The air warps, thick with heat and pressure. Wolves stumble, some falling to their knees, others fleeing outright. In the chaos, they strike him. Blades meant for dragons. Spells layered with fear and desperation. They crash against the Dragon Emperor all at once, forcing him back for the first time. Fire erupts from his skin as he roars, a sound that shakes the mountains, but even he cannot shield everything at once. And then the world goes still. Because she returns. She steps out of the tearing dark like it has been waiting for her. No longer running. No longer broken. Her feet touch the ground, and the earth answers. Fire curls upward, not raging, but reverent, forming a crown of living flame above her head. Her eyes burn silver gold, bright enough to silence the screams. She is changed. Power rolls off her in waves, vast and controlled, older than the fear that tried to cage it. Her presence bends the air. Wolves drop where they stand, forced down by instinct older than loyalty. The shrine glows, no longer fractured, but awakened. When she speaks, her voice is not alone. It carries echoes. Mothers. Warriors. Queens long turned to ash. Ancestral voices rise through her, steady and unyielding. I am not your offering. The words strike like a command written into the bones of the world. The remaining chains disintegrate. The council's magic unravels, screaming as it dies. One elder crawls backward, eyes wide, shaking his head in denial. You were meant to save us, he pleads. She looks at him, and there is no mercy in her gaze. I was meant to end this, she says. The mountain cracks. Stone splits open beneath their feet, veins of fire lighting the fault lines. Peaks in the distance tremble, answering her claim. Even the sky seems to bow, darkness thinning, reshaping around her will. She turns, stepping between dragon and wolf. Between the emperor, wounded but unbroken, and the pack that once cast her out. The balance snaps into place. For the first time, she understands it. Not power over them. Not submission to them. Balance. Fire and moon. Fang and flame. Choice without fear. The dragon emperor meets her gaze. There is no hesitation now. He lowers his head, not in defeat, but in recognition. The wolves feel it. Every one of them. The old instinct that tells them when a true ruler stands before them. Knees hit stone. Heads bow. Even those who hate her cannot deny what she has become. Queen unclaimed no longer. She stands tall, shoulders squared, fire steady above her brow. The girl who begged in silence is gone. In her place stands something forged by betrayal and truth, by pain and survival. She looks down at her hands, at the silver fire that no longer burns out of control. It waits. It listens. I choose, she says quietly. The words ripple outward, sealing the moment. Not a sacrifice. Not a weapon. Not a mistake. The world has taken its first breath in a very long time. And it breathes her name. Silence follows her claim. Not empty silence. Waiting silence. The kind that stretches tight, like the world itself is holding its breath. She turns slowly, the crown of flame dimming to a steady glow, and looks at the dragon emperor. Smoke curls between them. Ash drifts down like dark snow. His wounds still bleed light, but he stands tall, unbowed, eyes locked on hers. For the first time, she is not searching his face for permission. She is asking a question. The mountain feels it. The wolves feel it. Even the fire listens. He steps forward, one measured pace, then another, until only a breath separates them. Heat meets heat. Flame recognizes flame. His gaze softens, not with weakness, but with respect that has been earned in blood and truth. The world waits to see what he will do. She feels it then. The weight of every eye. Every fear. Every hope. She feels the memory of chains on her wrists, the sound of her own begging echoing through years she can never get back. She feels the girl she was standing beside the queen she has become. Both are real. Both are hers. If she reaches out, she could rule with him. Fire and fang, empire and balance. If she turns away, she could burn it all down and walk alone into legend. The choice is hers. And that is what terrifies them. Her gaze sweeps past him, over the bowed wolves, the shattered council, the cracked stones still glowing beneath their feet. She sees fear. She sees awe. She sees the same question reflected everywhere she looks. Would you fear her? Or kneel? She exhales slowly, the sound steady despite the storm that still hums inside her. The crown flickers, responding to her pulse. Power does not demand. It waits. The emperor does not move. He is watching her, not the fire. Not the throne she could claim. Her. And in that moment, the future fractures into 1,000 possible paths, each one burning with consequence. The mountain creaks softly, as if urging her to speak. But she doesn't. Not yet. Because some choices are too big to rush. Some destinies demand to be witnessed, not explained. And if this story burned in your chest, if you felt her fear, her rage, her rise, then subscribe to Moonbound Werewolf Romance Stories. Because here, we tell tales of rejected girls who rise as queens. The fire holds. The world waits. And the answer has not yet been given. They turn away together. Not holding hands. Not speaking. Just moving, step by step, through the ash and smoke, the cracked stone glowing faint beneath their feet. The mountain exhales around them, as if relieved, and afraid all at once. The wind shifts, carrying the scent of fire, wolf, and something older, something that has watched the world for centuries. She feels it first, a vibration deep in the earth, subtle at first, like a distant drumbeat. Then it grows, insistent, rolling through rock, stone, and bone. The ground trembles beneath their boots, small cracks spider-webbing outward, glowing faintly with molten light. Not danger exactly, but a warning. The emperor pauses, glancing over his shoulder, eyes narrowing. His golden gaze sweeps the horizon, every muscle tense. It's not done, he murmurs, voice low, threaded with something she cannot name, anticipation or dread, or both. A whisper rises, carried on the wind. Not from him, not from her, not from the wolves or the ruins, but from somewhere else entirely. Somewhere old. Somewhere patient. She is not the only one. The words scrape through the night, soft yet impossible to ignore. They curl around her heart like smoke, tendrils of fear and curiosity, and she shivers, though the fire in her veins burns hotter than ever. She looks toward the horizon, half expecting to see movement, shadows. Another fate unfolding. But there is only dark. Only ash. Only the heavy, silent promise that the world is far larger, and far more dangerous, than she has yet imagined. The emperor's hand hovers near hers for a moment. Not touching. Not claiming. Just a reminder, she is not alone in her power, and yet, she is entirely alone in her choices. The wind shifts again, carrying a faint echo of wings. Not hers, not his. Something else. Watching. Waiting. The mountains groan, reacting to the tremor beneath the ground, ancient and aware, as if the earth itself is bracing for what comes next. And she knows, deep in the marrow of her bones, that her journey is far from over. Every betrayal, every fire, every silver vein coursing beneath her skin has been a preparation. The world may have tried to chain her, to claim her, to make her small, but she will never be contained again. The glow of her crown dims slightly, not gone, just resting. The world is quiet enough now that the whisper rises again, impossibly soft but clear. She is not the only one. She tightens her jaw, muscles coiled, heart hammering with both fear and exhilaration. The emperor's eyes meet hers one last time, before they vanish into the ash-dusted path ahead, carrying a weight she is only beginning to understand. The camera, or the mind's eye, would linger, hovering over the trembling ground, over cracks that glow faintly in molten veins, over the dark horizon where shadows move, but details remain hidden. The world is alive. Watching. Waiting. And she, the queen who refused to be a sacrifice, is only the beginning. Fade to black. The echo of that whisper lingers. The promise of power, danger, and destiny hangs heavy in the air. This isn't over. Not by a long shot.